Hey everyone, have I here been a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we're going to be discussing why LR Cell Max must drop on global before the worldwide celebration. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So a lot of people are talking about, well, we think Cell Max may drop. There's a possibility. There's some, data, backing it up as well. But I'm going to be talking about why it must happen. It has to happen, because if it doesn't, all right, global is going to have a major disadvantage. So let's first, of course, dive into the major reason why that is going to be the issue is because the worldwide celebration has been 100% confirmed. My latest video talked about this. It is going to be a Z Broly celebration, which of course then has to be some sort of movie bosses celebration that goes along with it. And we should expect that whatever unit that we're going to get a base form Broly, a legendary Super Saiyan Broly. Either one of those, it is going to be focused on movie bosses, whether it's going to be a straight 200% Carnival LR, or it could be a 170% plus, of course, additional categories. But ultimately here, movie bosses becomes a pivotal role in the celebration. I think it's going to be a movie celebration, not only just Broly, but primarily in part one, it's going to be Broly. Maybe we see something in part two that's going to be different, but it's going to revolve around movie bosses. And if we, meaning global, does not get LR Cell Max prior to this upcoming celebration, if there are certain missions or if there are certain things that has to be done with movie bosses, we're going to be in a competitive gameplay disadvantage. And I do not think JP wants to have that happen. All right. So as you can see here, the amount of movie bosses that we technically have isn't all that great. So I'm just going to make this kind of bigger here. You can kind of look at the LRs and the Dokkan Festival exclusives. I know it's kind of blurry, but when you look at the options here, there's really not much options, right? Especially options that are viable in today's meta, things of that nature. So again, if JP right now has Cell Max, they're in such a favorable position when they're building teams, because Cell Max is such an incredible unit. A first position unit can pretty much tank everything. The leader skill doesn't really matter. And we assume that Broly will have a movie boss's leader skill. It makes all the sense in the world to then run Cell Max on that team. But having that omitted from global is an absolute shaft. It's a problem, right? It's a problem where, again, a lot of people are assuming that Cell Max is going to be dropping. I think they have to do it, and we should see the data download sometime tonight proving that. If it doesn't, I think it's a bad mishap. I think it's already a bad mishap for not having Cell Max be introduced right after or kind of during that portion of the end of the anniversary. Whereas when you start thinking about it, the Tech UI Goku was part of a separate portion of the anniversary, and they said, this is going to be a separate celebration. They could have easily also just slotted Cell Max during that same time as well, having a yellow coin LR that has a pity system, all that stuff around it. It would have made sense kind of part of that part two, or the end of the 9-year anniversary, being that it was focused on Beast Gohan, right, and the Gammas, and then of course you have Cell Max. But they didn't do that. And if they are holding it till the countdown, which is literally in a couple of days, to the worldwide celebration, they really have to drop it, and have to drop it immediately, because we have to prep and get this unit ready to go for a movie bosses or movies type of celebration on here. So when you look at the options at global right now, and if you have all these units, you have, again, assuming that this new Broly, whether it's base form or legendary Super Saiyan, is going to be the leader for this team, and it's going to be focusing on movie bosses. We have, of course, the 9-year anniversary Super Saiyan Broly, right? Not legendary Super Saiyan, just Super Saiyan Broly. We have that unit. We have then the EZA to the movie Broly. Then you have Golden Frieza, and then I just put on the side there as a viable unit, a dodge or die unit, very inconsistent and kind of a pain when you're running against hard content, is Harudegarn. So you're missing 2 slots to build a six unit team, and that's huge, right? Because you're like, okay, do I bring in Cooler? Do I bring in the STR Cooler, Final Form Cooler? Nope, he's not gonna survive. Am I gonna bring some of these other units on here? It's not looking good to build a full movie bosses team. Now, again, we assume that this is going to be a 200% slash. I guess they could still have it as a 200% kind of carnival movie bosses. Do we have a carnival? No, we don't have a carnival movie bosses 200%. So if they do have this as a carnival 200%, then again, it's going to be very limited in team builds. But if Broly is a Dokkan Festival exclusive that have 170% and 30%, you have some more options. But again, we're focusing on movie bosses here. So on JP, huge difference. Just one unit, huge difference. Because look at who's a first position unit for you on global, right? Hopefully we might have Broly be first position, but let's say it isn't, because the AGL Broly isn't first position and since it transforms, he's a third position unit, right? The Broly is kind of like a support, automatic dodge if you get enough orbs, etc., etc. Angel Golden Frieza can maybe hold up that first spot in certain situations, but that's pretty much about it. Whereas Cell Max, if you have it on that team, first position all day long, right? No doubt about it. And no, you're not putting Rudiger in first position either. So then you're saying, okay, we're just missing one more unit that then they can provide during the celebration that can make this team very viable. And really, what are their options, right? So on global, right, we would then have to get Cell Max. And then we hope the EZA Super Saiyan Broly is going to be very good. However, I think that I'm looking at that as a major problem, because if Broly, the tech Broly, is the same name as the AGL 9-year anniversary Broly, you might not run them in the same spot or position. You might have to run them as a floater. Then you're going to have basically two Super Saiyan Brolys running in as a floater and not in the main rotation, right? Hopefully that makes sense. There are also 3 other options that can happen during at least part 1 of the Worldwide Celebration, and that is the EZA to the Int Legendary Super Saiyan Broly. That might be too early, but they can still do that. And then 2 Super EZA opportunities, as in, I think for sure the Dokkan Festival exclusive STR Broly will EZA. I think that's a given, all right, as your secondary alternative to whatever unit that we're going to get. And I'm now leaning a little bit even more towards a base form Broly as what the Dokkan Fest unit or the Carnival unit's going to be in the part 1. I just have the image of Legendary Super Saiyan Broly just because I think that's kind of where the hype is right now. I really think it's going to be base form, because if it's base form and you run him in first position or you run him as a leader, these other EZAs to these Legendary Super Saiyan Brolys, right, can be more viable, especially if they actually do a Super EZA to the first LR, technically, right? On JP, you can say it was Gohan because it was snuck into a banner as an unfeatured unit, but it's the first LR banner was Broly. And if they're basically gonna Super EZA LRs, this would be the first chance for them to do so, or they're gonna have to have another Broly celebration down the road, and they are not planning on Super EZAing LRs for a very, very long time, right? Maybe they are gonna wait another year for them to then Super EZA. So if we do get a Super EZA to the STR Broly, then we can expect those types of EZAs to happen like major celebrations, right? Meaning anniversary, maybe if they're going to do a global anniversary or basically part of the Tanabata celebration, and then you have Worldwide Celebration, right? So I wonder what they're going to call this. Actually, this is just something that just came to my mind right now. Is it's just going to call it the Unification Celebration, like from here on out, because everything's going to be worldwide anyway. I don't know. But these are some opportunities that they could do here, and then be able to build the team much better, especially on the global of the game, or both versions of the game at this point in time, right? So then the team's going to look something like this. And again, whether that is that new unit going to be base form or Legendary Super Saiyan, then you have more of a viable team. The weakest character on here then would be the Golden Frieza, which is still a viable unit in certain situations. But if they again have this as base form Broly, and then you have the EZA to the STR Dokkan Festival exclusive, Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, LSSJ, and maybe not the Super Extreme to the LR legendary Super Saiyan Broly, right? Then I think you have even a much better team that you can slot that out and put that unit in there, right? So the team in of itself is looking good as long as Global gets Cell Max. Because if we don't, it is a big hole. It's a first position unit that we definitely need in the hard content. And if they don't provide it, it's going to be a major problem. Now, how are they going to provide it? They can just literally say, hey, you know what? Here's the celebration for the countdown. We're going to get the EZA to Piccolo and Goku, right? We're going to have that as the EZA, and we're going to provide you the special LR banner, limited time only banner for a yellow coin LR that may be at 500 Dragon Stones. It's the pity, right? Maybe they discount the pity for you to buy LR Cell Max. Because again, this is like almost needed must-have unit if we're going to be running movie bosses, and if Global doesn't have it, that's going to be a main problem. A lot of people are saying we should possibly get that with a Jiren combination. Here's where I don't think that that's going to be the case, because I think that Jiren celebration is going to be added to the Double Rates banner Carnival during December, right? Remember, Tanabata usually happens during the December time frame, and then the hard content comes in, things of that nature. The hardest content hasn't dropped on Global yet, which is Goku Frieza, UI Goku, those types of events on Blue Zone, right? So the reason why is because we're still having to deal with Cell Max level 2 and all this stuff from the 9-year anniversary. So it'd be kind of not as fun is to then have harder content right away, basically just a couple weeks after the anniversary. So if they just held this back until December, which then December turns into the full on merging, everything's exactly the same at that point in time, that leads into the anniversary, right, in February, that makes a lot more sense to me that this unit here is going to be introduced with whatever the unit's going to be for the Double Rates banner on JP at the same time. So JP is just going to have that available. But in reality, they can also put Jiren as a featured unit as well. So both games, JP and Global, can have whatever the December Double Rates banner is going to be with Jiren as featured. Thus, boom, both will happen, and then all the content will happen from there. It makes a lot more sense for me for this to happen this way versus they just going to slot in a Carnival Double Rates banner at the end or at the countdown for the worldwide celebration. That would be wild if they do that. Again, they've been doing some wild stuff anyway. It makes a lot more sense with what they did with Tech UI Goku, because again, we're also going to probably get the Tanabata banner, the one that of course JP ended up getting. We're going to probably get that in December, right? So this will be a part of that banner, the 20 with the Tech UI Goku, with the 20 Dokkan Festival exclusive units, right? So unless we get that banner in the countdown and this banner, right? This banner with Cell Max and the Tanabata UI Goku / 20 Dokkan Festival exclusive units on there, it doesn't make sense, again, to me. So I think this is a must get. I think we are going to get Cell Max. I said this during the anniversary, so take this with a grain of salt. I think we're going to get them because we have to get them, because it is such a big spot that's going to be missing if we don't get them on Global, and JP has this amazing unit while completing all these missions. Anyway, those are my thoughts there. We will find out probably later on tonight with the data download into the countdown, because the countdown is right around the corner for the worldwide celebration. Let me know what you guys think. Again, a lot of people are saying it might, and I say they have to. It must happen. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.